let's go straight to CPAC, to Mike Salem. Mike, how are you?
Good evening. I am very well and merry. How about you guys? How have you been in the studio?
Are you drunk?
No. It is just that I'm at a weird camera angle and I've got my phone held up waiting for you guys.
What's going on at the CPAC conference there, man?
Well, it's been very positive, actually. It's the first of its kind here in the UK, trying to bring together those who agree that there needs to be some change needed in this country. Yeah. And it's been very positive. The reaction's been very friendly, and it's good to catch up with friends.
The Conservative Political Action Conference, just all like minds that meet.
Just a matter of interest. I went to CPAC in Washington in 2002 and met the Sisters for the Second Amendment. Are the Sisters for the Second Amendment attending? They are women who believe that all women should be mandated to carry guns to protect them against rapists. Are they there?
Well, I haven't seen them here today. So you'd have to come yourself tomorrow and check that out. I think...
I have a media pass. I just couldn't be bothered.
So how long does this go on for, the CPAC? Have you been every day, and what have you learned?
So, yeah, it started off yesterday, and it's here till tomorrow afternoon, and Ron DeSantis is starting tomorrow off in the morning. So it's been a real coalition of people from across the world giving us some lessons on what works, what doesn't work, and what are the next steps.
Have they talked about security for right-wing politicians? Obviously, that's been in the news all over the world, and especially here. Have they talked about that?
So that has been discussed, and you can also see with the politicians that have attended today who are right-wing, they have had increased security, whether it is Reform MPs or candidates or even on the Conservative side. So it's been pretty actually interesting to see how accessibility has been reduced to some of these politicians, given the circumstances, which, of course, I understand, but at the same time...
but what about in that case, to follow that up, what about security at the conference itself? Because at some point... the jihadis are going to have a go, and at that point, one would assume the police will support the jihadis. So what do we do about that?
Well, I haven't seen any jihadis here so far, thank God for that. But I have been asked to take a sip of my own water bottle, and I very much respect and appreciate them being concerned about my hydration.
What about?
Were they profiling you?
No, I don't think so. I think they've asked everyone to have a sip of water.
What about what the Spanish did, which is a small piece of chorizo and a small glass of red wine whenever you walk in? Are we considering doing that?
Well, there hasn't been lots of alcohol here till the gala here in the evening, so that has been...
Sorry, there's no bar. Is there a bar?
There is a bar. There is a bar, of course. You can. I
was going to say, because
yes.
I was thinking of coming tomorrow morning to have a bit of a wander around. What's going on tomorrow? Should I come tomorrow? What's happening?
Yes,
give us some times as well.
I think you should. I don't think they've released the full timetable yet, but tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the morning, Ron DeSantis will be here addressing the address.
You won't be up. What's the one after that?
I'm not entirely sure, I'm afraid. I haven't received the timetable personally. It hasn't been given out to me.
It's a bit silly putting him on first thing in the morning, isn't it? He's like a headline. What I'm going
to have to do next year, actually, is move to Canary Wharf or move to the O2 for the weekend, then go to the conference, come here, and then go back to the hotel.
You've got that block, you know, that nice block that was 80 quid a night. Lovely.
The big problem I'm going to have is getting home at sort of 2:30 in the morning and getting up at 7 to get to the O2 is not going to be...
Just do an all-nighter like Alan Brazil, doing Alan Brazil.
I think that's a valid concern, and I think this is only the first CPAC, so there will be lessons learned on where and how to do it, and I think perhaps next year they'll do it more centrally and more convenient for journalists and greater footfall as well, and politicos. Has
it been a big turnout?
It's been good, to be honest. Given the heat, I think it's been a good turnout.
Is it air-conditioned? So
it's very well air-conditioned. That's another big positive.
So maybe people are just turning up to cool down. No? Did you see Farage speak today?
Yes, I did see Farage speak. He was very political on
Well, let's have a look. We've got a little few tasters of him, a little nibbles menu of Farage today at CPAC. Let's have a look at the first one. There, run the VT. Press play on the video.
I'd like to say welcome to Great Britain. But I have to really say welcome to Broken Britain, because we are in something of a mess. In fact, I'd go further and say we're actually engaged in a battle for the very soul of our nation, to define what we actually are, what we stand for, what our values are, because they're under attack in just the most astonishing and extraordinary. But I'm doing this not because I want rank.
Oh, well, it's like Norman Collier, the old microphone going trick. Good mate, he looked like he had my makeup artist. So did you watch him speak, or what did you feel about it? But apparently it went down very well.
I think it did. I think he touched on the key issues that the people here care about. It was very political as well, talking a lot about reform, about their success at the latest Police and Crime Commissioner elections in Great Yarmouth, defeating both the Tories and the Restore candidates combined. So there was lots of political angle to it. Of course, it wouldn't have been impossible to not talk about Anne Widdecombe and her tragic murder.
Just move your head to the left. Just move your head to the left. Just
hang on. Am I like this?
Right a bit. Left a bit. It's like cricket, isn't it? No, left a bit. Right a bit. There you go.
Very good. Yes, I can't see myself, so.
Well, we'll just tell you if you go off. We'll tell you.
Yes. So it's been quite good. I think he's a very effective communicator. And he did convey the points that he needed to. Very
he just said it as well. He didn't read it off anything, did he? He's one of these amazing people. You can do that. You just spiel off a load of stuff, and it's brilliant as well.
Yes, well, I think practice makes perfect, and if you've been in politics as long as Nigel has,
it's a natural thing, though. I mean, you look at other politicians can't do what he does.
Maybe. It depends. I mean, you look at people, for instance, like...
So do us a favour. Do us a favour. Walk around. Show us CPAC a little bit.
Oh, well, OK, I'll give you a bit of...
You don't have to be on camera. Show us around a little bit.
Let me turn it for you. Hang on. Oh, how do I...
Press the little twirly button.
There we go. Got it. So this is where we are here in the lobby. You've got the big Union Jack, of course, and the CPAC Great Britain. And you've got...
It doesn't look very busy.
Where are they? Where is everyone?
Well, we're at the gala dinner.
Opposition.
Everyone's been at the auction now, where we have been trying to.
So if I got a media pass, do I get into the dinner for free?
Well, you've missed it, I'm afraid. So you've got to.
Could you open the emergency exit at the end, and we'll just nip in and get the nits and nibbles?
Well, you're more
People leave stuff on their plates, don't they? You know.
I was thinking more of going for the actual political engagement rather than stealing food at the end of it.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
That as well. I think the real positive has been meeting people from across the world, whether it is Australian or Americans, and learning from them and from their experiences.
What's going on in Australia? They've sort of got it worse than us in some ways.
Well, indeed, and that's what I've told my Australian friends here, that they always begin bad legislation in Australia, then they ship it to Canada, and then they come to the UK with terrible policies like social media bans and tobacco and vapes and all that state interventionism, which stems actually from the oceanic part of the world. So actually, them defending our freedoms and liberties from Australia is quite crucial, and I've been just thanking them for their hard work.
I mean, it's basically a prison island that we used in the old days, isn't it? Now they're telling us how to...
Perhaps that is something for us to consider historically.
Gamekeeper.
Yeah. It is quite interesting, actually, to compare notes.
So can you not go into the dinner?
Well, I'm going to try. It's quite loud.
Go in the dinner. Go on, let's have a look. Let's have a look at your dinner.
Obviously, you don't have to talk if there's stuff going on.
We'll just describe.
Well, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, you can describe.
We'll describe, because there's people on the radio. So he's walking into the lobby of the...
Indeed.
It's in a very nice... Is it a hotel?
Is it the O2?
Indeed, yes.
The Millennium Dome?
It is the Intercontinental, yes.
Oh, well, the Intercontinental. Okay, it's different. So he's walking in now.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Going on.
Is Nigel there?
It's Nigel. A bit more busy now.
Is Nigel? Is he gone?
Oh, that looks quite interesting.
Go up to the tables then. Walk up to the... He's walking up.
Well, I don't think I can quite do that. There we go. So I think we're just about to finish the...
Din-din.
The din-dins, indeed. I think everyone's going home now. So
have you not had the coffee and the mints or whatever, the chocolate bits?
Believe it or not, I had to miss the coffee to be with you guys.
Oh, terrible.
I'm sorry about that.
So everyone's leaving.
To get me a cup of coffee, yes, indeed.
Why are the children? Why are the children there?
Well, I think because they come from a different part of...
Oh, we've lost them.
Tory boys.
They haven't got a nanny.
But they were very small children.
Yes.
Tell us about the dinner. What was the main course?
Well, I don't think they've got... Yes. The main course was chicken. It was quite lovely, actually.
It's a bit
very
of a letdown, though, chicken, isn't it? You don't really want chicken.
Well, it depends. It depends. Have you had chicken earlier in the week or not? So it was quite
That's a good
delightful,
point.
actually.
Yeah, if you haven't
Yes.
had chicken, it might be nice. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Canapes.
It's been very positive. We're not
Has it been productive? Because a lot of people are saying these conferences, it's all the same like-minded people, and you're not actually. It's just an echo chamber.
I think that's a very fair concern to have. But to be honest, with CPAC, what we're looking at is grassroots activism, very different from ARC, where it is more international.
And were there any? Come on, let's be honest. Were there any strange ones?
What do you define strange? I think.
Well, you know, funny, like any amusing problem
Things,
people.
anything happened?
Well, I think it's everyone in politics have their quirks. They're all a bit of good fun, and I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary aside from me having to drink a sip of my own water by security. Which I
saw a group who were the anti-NAMBLA at CPAC. And NAMBLA were an organisation called the North American Man-Boy Love Association, and there were people there campaigning to have it made illegal, which one would have thought it would have been illegal anyway. But
no, we're a lot more sensible here in this country.
Yeah, so I met the Sisters for the Second Amendment, anti-NAMBLA. There was one that was related to homosexuality, but I can't tell you what the name of the stall was. There was some strange ones.
What was the views on our new Prime Minister about to have his coronation? What's the views on what's going to happen to this country?
Indeed, not very positive. And to be honest, my views on that is that we're going to suffer, I think, economically. He's going to hike taxes up. And many people think he might not even last. He might even be shorter than Liz Truss's term because he's going to... destabilise the markets, and they're going to boot him out.
But won't he change it like he did with the bond market? Once he got a whiff that he'd said the wrong thing, he backed down. Once they get in the real world, we've got actually a clip. Let's have a look at Burnham talking about what he's going to do. Let's have a look at that.
As your leader, I will set a direction that is distinctively Labour. We won't try to out-green the Greens or out-reform reform, or doing what we've done in the past of wearing too many Tory clothes. Let me tell you, I'm quite happy that Kemi doesn't approve of my wardrobe choices, because I'm not keen on theirs either. From here, we do it differently.
Vacuous, isn't it? He's vacuous. He doesn't really have his own thoughts. He just, as he goes, he moves along, doesn't he? He's got no track record. I mean, being mayor of Manchester is no track record for running a country.
Well, indeed, and I think that's the key concern is that his policy will be primarily Manchesterism and devolving power to as many mayors as he can find, and that's maybe some way of addressing some of the concerns that people have, but it's by no means a magic formula or a silver bullet.
Yeah, I think his plan will be to gerrymander the country into as many mayoralties as he can, ensure that they're all won by Labour, and then tax the country really, really punitively, but give that money to those local mayors who can stand up saying, we've spent $8 billion on this, or well, probably not that much, but, $8 million on this, $3 million on that. And that will be his winning strategy, because what people will go is they'll go, well, a bit annoyed with the national government for the punitive taxes, but on the other hand, my local mayor is doing quite well and he's Labour.
Yeah, indeed, and I think that's a valid point to make. And at the end of the day, what you get with Labour, sadly, is state-sponsored growth. They believe that growth should be achieved by state-sponsored funding, and that can only be achieved by taking our taxpayers' money, and spending it. So that's not a working formula for the long term.
How long's that got, though, before it all comes crashing down and reality hits?
Well, if he goes full on, I think pretty soon. I don't think he will last long. But if he becomes the chameleon that he always is and shifts his policies, he might try and stay in power for a bit longer. But I think I'd be very worried for people. I think you should start saving your money, because Burnham will try and take it.
OK, well, that's Mike Salem, political analyst. Are you all right to stay over the break and come back and talk some more?
Yeah, happy to. If you have me on. Yes,
no, actually, I've changed my mind. No, we'll be back with Mike Salem, political analyst. Salem's like it's Andre Nash on Talk. Back with Mike after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This Talk. Mike Salem is still at CPAC, and I think we've got a couple of clips for you, Mike, to respond to. Asher, what have we got?
We've got Andy Burnham saying Britain took a series of wrong turns. This is where he said the 70s was better than the 80s. Let's have a look. Show the dog the rabbit. Press play.
I am clear. Britain took a series of wrong turns in the 1980s. Political power was centralised and economic power was privatised. The country surrendered control of the essentials: housing, water, energy, transport, and left people exposed to higher costs. That in turn led to the concentration of more wealth and power in the hands of fewer people and fewer.
Mike, I've got quite a strong view on this. I'm not as anti what Burnham said, perhaps, as you might think, simply because a large number of businesses that were privatised are no longer in British hands and have actually been nationalised by sovereign wealth funds. Now, I don't believe that that energy should be owned by the British government, but I don't believe it should be owned by the French government either. And so, you know, where does that leave me?
I think I share your concern. I hear your views, and I think to some extent Burnham might have been right on the evolution, because remember, Thatcher also abolished London Assembly. But I cannot accept that the problems of today's time comes from the 80s. What Thatcher did was to transform our economy from a stagnant, poor economy into a high service sector economy that has been the top financial sector, one of the top financial sectors in the world.
But aren't we now seeing the following problem? One of the problems with the privatised businesses was that they were operating in a way that was just for the workers rather than actually for the people that were the consumers of it. And so you end up in a situation where, you know, I mean, a lot of industries operates the way the London Underground operates now. That is to say that the most important thing is that the workers get what they want. The less important thing is the passengers get what they want. And, of course, there is a big loss in the middle of it.
And that was the unions in the 70s destroyed the industry because the workers were no good. The unions sort of paralysed British industry. And that looks like what Burnham wants to bring back the power of the unions that Maggie broke and actually caused a bit of a success in some areas.
Indeed, and that's what you get when you nationalise industry or keep it under a quasi-national state, like the London Underground at the moment, which is still sponsored by the Mayor of London. So they make a loss each year, and all they care about is the welfare of their employees.
Drivers on 100,000 a year, some of them with overtime. They start on about 70, 80 grand.
Indeed, and the reality is most of the public is frustrated because they see lots of people bumping the train and they pay for it. And, you know, the reason is, well, we have to fit a higher bill than those who bump the train and evade thousands of pounds of fares each year. And the solution is to actually privatise it and make sure that it's
I'm sorry, but I've got to say my experience in Waterloo Station and indeed in London Bridge Station is that, and indeed in Slough, I suppose, is that the ticket barrier officers are racist. If a white kid has forgotten his ticket, he goes through the mill. If a black kid pushes through the barrier, nobody cares.
Well, actually, I've seen them open the barriers for people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on anecdotal experience. And I think that the thing that's being told to TfL staff, to my understanding, is for them not to interfere. Like with shoplifting, where the security are asked not to.
So
the violent people get away with it.
What I don't understand about any of that is I get the double whammy. So I have to pay for people not paying the fare, and then I have to pay for security to not enforce not paying the fare. my view, if I took control of a rail company now, is I would just sack all the security and just say, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get a video of all the fare dodgers, and we'll just put up signs saying these are the thieves.
But it's ridiculous. The more violent you are, because they say, oh, guards, if you're worried about, you know, endangering yourself, don't challenge them. So actually, if you're a violent person, you get in free, and if you're like me and Andre, you know, peace loving, we get wrestled to the floor.
Yeah, I think it's a systematic thing. It's not an individual thing. I think these organisations tell their staff not to interfere. Indeed, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but it's profiling. You know what I mean? The little old lady who hasn't got a ticket, they'll do her. So that's the thing. They can't be doing stuff like that.
I think the concern is whether the law's been applied consistently, and I think I share that.
Well, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. It's our job to pay the bill, and it's for a migrant to enjoy the benefits.
Yeah, and I think that's why many people are frustrated, because the law is not being applied consistently. And until the law become clear and consistent, then people will start to. But it's
not going to. We are now like the Western Roman Empire, in that each individual group is going to have its own separate and different and distinct treatment by the police, and indeed its own distinct laws. And so what you will say is, well, look. And I don't believe it's fair to say young black men are intimidating, but if you are a young black man, you are officially counted as intimidating, therefore you don't have to pay your fare. If you are a young white man, you're deemed not intimidating, and by the way, that's not correct all the time, but you do have to pay your fare. And it's just as simple as that, and it becomes a racist system where you might as well say, we have published a file now to say if you're black, you don't have to pay, if you're white, you do have to pay. Now, of course, there are some people who, I mean, the vast majority of people who are black do pay, right? But you don't have to. It's voluntary for you, whereas it's mandatory for white people.
I think it's mandatory to pay for everyone, regardless of your race. It's just that, sadly, the law is not being applied consistently, and I think there are different expectations. And what we need to do, actually, is we need to encourage that everyone should pay the fare, and make sure that everyone's tackled effectively. And if people are not being criminalized for the behavior that they do, it allows people to grow with that behavior and behave worse.
Why would they pay if it's free, basically? Because it's
right. Let's go to the next clip.
OK, now this clip, you probably saw this, but let's hear Farage calling Burnham a chameleon.
Watched his acceptance speech earlier on today, and I have to say, I find the whole thing utterly vacuous. He is the great chameleon of British politics, capable of being all things.
Yeah, he can just change. They called him, what's his face? Starmer, already forgotten, Captain Flip Flop. I think they call this guy Mr. Flip Flop as well. He calls himself King of Manchester, but he just has any opinion that fits the day that he wakes up, doesn't he? He doesn't actually have any convictions.
Well, and that's extremely worrying, because I think at a time where leaders have lacked backbone to actually lead public discourse and change hearts and minds, we have seen leaders that are driven by polling, leaders that are driven by what's the popular policy of the day. And that would be quite concerning, because I would like a leader who actually has a plan for the future. And I think this is where I will give the Conservatives some credit, because they have been asking for Burnham to come to Parliament and lay his plans down, and he hasn't been able to do so, and he's been refusing to take questions from the media. So the markets aren't particularly keen on having him, because they don't know what his plans are, and if he's going to flip-flop and be like a chameleon, then it's very concerning for those who want to invest in this country and for those who want to work in this country. So we need to work out what his policies are, and he needs to make his decision pretty quickly.
And his cabinet, who is going to be in the cabinet? You know, they're rebelling about who he wants as Chancellor. They want Ed Miliband.
Please, not Ed Miliband,
I know,
please.
I mean, the market doesn't want that.
Ed Miliband, I believe, I've said this before, I believe by the end of his career, Ed Miliband will have killed 100,000 people because of his crazy green energy policies that freeze people in the winter and cook them in the summer. You know, he will be one of the biggest. I mean, every political leader, their decisions kill people. So let's just be clear on that. And it's not just in a war. But Ed Miliband, I think, could easily top 100,000 people.
It's just not easy being in a position of power. And I think that's what politicians need to understand, that whatever decision you make, you will annoy someone, and there will be consequences to your actions. And it's not like doing any other job, because the consequences of your actions, as you say, Andre, can lead to death. And politicians need to be aware of that when they're making their decisions. And I think politicians these days don't, because they're too fussed about whether they'll be in office next day or not. But I think in the last hour, I've read that Angela Rayner might become health secretary on Monday. So that might be something for us to look out for.
Yeah.
She is as thick as the wall.
You can't really have a go.
I only said it so I can hear your impression.
I'm so sorry.
I'm
so sorry. I hate when people do repetitious stuff, but I can't help myself.
But you got to forgive Miliband. It's not really his fault. I mean, you know, he's an irrational man. But let's have a listen to Farage on his motives. Run the VT. Press play on the video. Okay, well, we're not going to be doing that.
I'm doing this not because I want rank, title or position. I'm doing this because I fear this great country that we love. I can see this country. We are going down the drain. Britain is broken. We have to wake up to that fact, acknowledge the extent of the illness. And until we do that, we'll never be able to put the right cures in place. I'm doing this because I believe in Britain. I'm doing this because I believe we can turn this around and get this country back on the right track.
Will they wake up and come together the right? Because that's the only chance, really. I mean, maybe even restore and reform. There was talks of that, and the Tories. Was there any unification of the right at the CPAC conference?
Not quite yet, and I think this is something that CPAC has a unique selling point to do. At some point, the right needs to agree on how best to defeat the left, and that is, I think, an important agenda for future CPACs, and which is why I personally am glad to see that it has started for the first time this year here in the UK, and I'm hoping that we do a few more in the next few years so we can determine how best we can bring about ideas of freedom of expression, freedom of speech, free markets, limited government, and freedom of religion. So this year has been pretty... Farage has been pretty political on his stance because he's got an election to fight. They were expecting as well to fight another by-election, but Patrick Spence MP has been cleared of his accusations, so there won't be an election there. And Reform has been quite disappointed with that. So it's been pretty political this year on Reform's side, but I'm hoping in future years we can work out an arrangement to kick the left out, particularly if Burnham is as bad as we perceive him to be.
Are you confident that they will come together and not stand in each other's seats and clear the way for it to win, and then agree maybe to separate and fight each other for who's going to run things? But are you confident they will come together in the next 2 years? And do you think maybe Burnham might call an election early if things, for some ridiculous reason, go well? There's some sort of honeymoon period that Starmer obviously never had.
Well, I think firstly on tactical voting, historically, I don't think it has worked. So I do encourage political parties to stand and people to make their own minds.
But that's what happened in the last general election. If they wouldn't have stood against each other, the right would have won. You know, there would have to have been a coalition with Reform and the Tories, but Starmer wouldn't have got in.
I think that's more of a messaging issue. I think parties need to work on what they need to say and what they stand for. And I think that's what has been missing from the right. We haven't been leading an ideology. We have just been following what has been popular in the opinion polls. And that needs to radically change because that space is being taken up by influencers, by social media creators. And actually, no, we need leaders, politicians to take agency of that, to tell the public what they think the best solution for the country is and to lay their plans nice and clear to the public to try and change their minds. As for the early general election, that might be a possibility. For all we know, Burnham might, crash in the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I think an election would be imminent there because if they can pick an MP between the 400 of them, I don't think they're going to be able to do it after Burnham leaves. So an election early might probably be increasing in chances more so than ever.
OK, Mike, well, look, we've got to go. That's Mike Salem, political analyst. Have you got anything you'd like to say before we send you into the night?
Well, read, be informed, and think with your brains, and follow your gut.
Thanks, man. That is Mike at Salem, political commentator at the CPAC conference. After the break, we're going to talk to Sarah Antoinette